Now a look ahead to tomorrow evening at 7:40 when the worlds of pop and comedy collide on the famous stage of the London Palladium for the Cannon and Ball special. But next this evening it's time for us to make a date.
And a very happy new year.
Yes, and how's 1987 been for you, then?
A lot better for me, I think, than for you.
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, I had no more getting up at 3 o'clock.
That's true.
No morning sickness.
That's true.
And no Dennis Healy.
That's very true, yes. But I didn't have to celebrate my 40th birthday. Yes, but I do probably expect that the lady who helped you celebrate probably made up for the 40 years.
My wife.
Well, I wasn't thinking of your wife, I was thinking of the policewoman's strippogram who turned up. True.
On the show tonight, to celebrate the new year in style, we have the Stranglers, Sarah Brightman and Barbara Dixon.
Jimmy Savile, Andrew O'Connor, and a New Year message from number 10.
Sorry,
And we shall be looking...
Which camera would you like me to do it into? Over here? What? I'm sorry, I was working rather late last night. Not entirely steady on my pins. Thing is, I'm not very familiar with...
Dennis!
Sorry, darling.
Dennis, where's my port and lemon?
Oh, coming immediately, darling. Sorry, she who must be obeyed. Excuse me.
Well, if there are no more interruptions, we shall be looking at a few things which have happened on other New Year's days.
To start us off, a song dedicated to all those New Year's Eve parties. Here are the Stranglers with All Day and All of the Night. You noticed, but their drummer, Jet Black, was wearing a mask.
By popular demand?
Oh, that's very uncommon. No, he's wearing a mask, actually, really, truly, because he's allergic to smoke.
And his name's Jet Black?
Yes, Jet Black. He's got a brother called Matthew.
Matt Black?
Absolutely.
I have to confess that I bought that first time around by the Kinks. more than 20 years ago.
Yes, well, you are 40, aren't you?
Let me just tell you that on New Year's Day in 1964, when Anne was well into double figures...
I was only 10.
Our next guest presented the first ever Top of the Pops. On New Year's Day in 1972, he was awarded the OBE, and on this New Year's Day, he's here with us. It's Jimmy Savile.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
Happy New Year to one and all.
Happy New Year, yes. Do you remember that first Top of the Pops, Jim?
Make yourself at home, Jim.
It doesn't come off.
We knew you were coming.
They don't move.
Do you remember that first Top of the Pops?
Yes, Stones, Cliff Richard, the Hollies, Freddie the Dreamers.
It's not a bad list, is
Did you have that lady, Samantha Just, playing the records?
Nope. I never used the lady. All the other guys did, but I was a dance hall.
Yes.
Would you kindly remember where you are, please?
Well, talking of where we are, I mean, how was 1987 for you?
Terrific, just like 1986, 85, 84, 83, 81, and 80.
What made it so terrific?
Because there were 365 days in it.
It helps.
Every day was Christmas, every night was a birthday, and my case comes up next Thursday.
And do you ever stop? Because you seem to be working.
Hey?
You seem to be working or
never
raising
had
money
that.
all the time.
I've never had that in a deep voice said to me in my life.
But do you ever stop?
I never start.
I think you do.
No, because, as you know, none of us work on
Not
Sunday.
work.
Quite
Yeah.
right. But I mean, to be fair...
We're all overpaid. Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? All overpaid. We don't have to work for a living.
But the great thing about you, Jimmy Savile, is the money you make isn't for you, it's for other people.
Ah, well, I don't talk about that, see? Because the thrill is making the money. Whether you keep it, whether you give it away, it doesn't really matter.
£25 million in 20 years is just remarkable. I mean, if you stopped doing it, there'd be a great gap somewhere, wouldn't there? I mean,
Not
whoever
really,
would take
because
on that
no,
sort of
there's
job.
1 million people waiting to start. Never in the history of this country have there been so many people doing so many marvellous things. Look at all the schools and colleges. All of them have a goal of sorts every year. Every pupil's at it. There are 50 million people waiting to take places like my place if I decide to call it a day. Because this is why Britain is the #1 in the league of caring countries.
Jim, you once quoted as saying you'd rather be crazy than a saint. Well, a lot of people probably think you are a saint.
Oh, good heavens. I hope not.
Bet they do.
Yes, well, I hope they're all locked up anyway.
I'll tell you what, we were talking about New Year's. Is there anything you particularly want to achieve in 1988?
Yes, to last another 365 days.
Smashing.
Because they're all terrific, and I should wish for everybody that they should last 365 days. And anybody who had a tough last year, we'll keep our fingers crossed that this year will be good for you, and that's what will help. All right?
Yeah.
How about that?
Jimmy Savile, thanks very much and Happy New Year.
I've been sacked. All right.
Among New Year's Day birthdays are those of 3 people who became notorious because of their politics. Firstly, the ex-tyrant dictator of Uganda, Idi Amin, seen here dressed as a Christmas tree, chatting up the fairy.
And Barry Goldwater, one-time American presidential candidate. Here he is, rubbing Lincoln's nose for luck. Didn't work, though. He lost by 16 million votes.
Surprised he didn't ask for a recount. Another New Year's Day birth was Kim Philby, the famous British traitor, seen here lying through his teeth.
I wonder if he's celebrating today in Red Square.
Well, one thing's for certain, he won't be rushing back home very fast, will he?
New Year. New Year is a time for resolutions.
Indeed. Have you got one?
I'm going to give it up.
All right, I'll start.
Right. And here with his resolutions and thoughts on New Year's resolutions is Andrew O'Connor.
Thanks a lot, thank you. Yeah, thank you. If I look a bit tired, it's because I went to this New Year's Eve party last night, and we did that first footing, you know. That's when the tallest, darkest, and most handsome man brings in the new year. Guess who they picked? And not Derek Jameson. It wasn't it. It was me. They put me out, right, at 5 to 12. Now, when you go first footing, you're supposed to have a bottle of whiskey, right, and a lump of coal. But this was an alcohol-free party in a smokeless zone. So I'm standing there with a bottle of Ribena and a Calagas eater. Right. 5 to 12, I'm waiting there. OK, 12 o'clock, the bells chime, and I knock on the door. At 1:45, I get fed up knocking and go home. And I thought to myself, how did it start, you know? Who did the very first New Year's resolution? But it was Adam, you know. Must eat more fruit. It's all right, I can wait. Or, And then I thought, I bet, you know, that some resolutions change the course of history. Abraham Lincoln must go to the theatre more this year. It's all right, he got shot, look. She thinks I'm singing. Or Lord Baden-Powell. Imagine him saying to himself, this year, I'll get lots of young men and take them off into the woods camping. Should have locked him up. So what I've done, well, I've written, right, to some famous people, and I've asked them for their New Year's resolutions, and I've got them here, right? I'll read them out, you try and guess who sent them. This is the first one. This one says, I must stop feeling grumpy. That's from Snow White. The next one, they're small, but they're getting better. The next one, right, is from a famous world leader. I'll give you a famous world leader. It says, this year, I will not get upset when people make fun of my unsightly mark. No, it's not Gorbachev, it's Mrs. Thatcher. Go on, here, go on. I must try and get out and about more. That's Lester Piggott's. And this is the last one, This is, I'm going to try and keep away from the old Bill. That's Mandy Smith. I've got some good news about Bill Wyman. In actual fact, he's got a new girlfriend, which is really fitting for the new year, because she looks 19 and he looks 88. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you. Terrific. Andrew O'Connor. Well, we'll be back again after the break with Sarah Brightman and Barbara Dixon.
Some New Year hits and a spirited message of New Year cheer from number 10.
She's done it again. She knows what she's doing. She's got Horse Sense. Horse Sense is published in weekly parts. There are lessons for beginners with easy-to-follow step-by-step instructions and lessons for more experienced riders with lots of advice on how to take care of a pony so that it stays well and happy. In fact, you'll find everything you want to know about horses and riding in Horse Sense. So start collecting it tomorrow.
The new Sunsilk conditioner is a rich, light mousse that rinses easily away, leaving your hair in beautiful condition. Sunsilk's new conditioner, it's the secret of life in your hair.
And welcome back to Make a Date. Well, the old year was quite something for our next guest, and the new one looks like being even better. Singer, dancer and actress, star of the phenomenal Phantom of the Opera, it's Sarah Brightman. Well, it's a very exciting prospect for you. You're off to Broadway, but my goodness, it very nearly didn't happen.
I know. I'm lucky.
It must have been a very worrying time for you.
Well, it wasn't, because I knew it would sort itself out in the end, but I think the whole American equity situation was very blown out of proportion. I think, to cut a long story short, all our English shows were winning all the awards in America, and I applied to work in America at the time when I think their American members.
Don't you think they had a point?
Well, maybe, but I think for the part of Christine in Andrew's show, I was meant for the part. The part was written around me. And so I feel I should have gone, the same as Michael should do the Phantom and Steve Barton should play Raoul. And obviously, for the Phantom of the Opera, Andrew wanted his best cast, and that cast were cast for that reason, so...
You've released an album just for the new year, haven't you, which is serious music?
Well, it's slightly serious. It's really me singing Benjamin Britten's songs with an accompanist called Jeffrey Parsons, who's wonderful. And it's just me singing with piano, and it is the folk songs, and they're pretty well known. And I just decided it was a nice thing to do, and it is very classical. Probably not everybody's cup of tea, but it's a lovely record.
What are you particularly looking for, then, in 1988?
I think I want to make the most of Phantom in America. I think it's going to be incredibly exciting, very challenging. I'm going to put as much as I can into it. And I think it will be a great success over there.
You're only going to be there for about 6 months, though, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So what about after that? You're going to retire gracefully and think about families?
Anne wants to ask if you're going to have a baby.
Well, that's right, because
Well,
you have hinted at it.
Yes, I have. I'm trying to decide whether to have a baby or do a film. I'm lucky to have the two to choose between, but I don't know. I'll have to see how things go.
Sarah Brightman, it's lovely to meet you. Best of luck on Broadway.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Yes,
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
And to you.
Now for some New Year hits. We've assembled some of the records which have been at #1 on New Year's Day since 1960 and put them together for our New Year medley.
I think we should just point out that the people you'll be seeing in the clips aren't necessarily the original performers.
What do you want to make those eyes at me for? But it's only made believe. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. Oh no, you say goodbye and I say hello.
When we were two little boys,
This comes to pass when a child is born.
But you can't come out. And you'd better watch it this time round too, Cecil. Hello, poor people.
I wonder what the New Year holds in store for those politicians. You never know, do you?
The New Year has always involved a lot of superstitions. At any other time of the year, if a tall, dark drunk arrives, probably call the police. Well, on New Year's night,
Scotland involves waking up the next morning. If the first thing you see is a person of the opposite sex, then in the year ahead you're going to have trouble.
particularly if your wife finds out about it. But the Scots aren't only famous for superstitions, and tonight we have one of Scotland's greatest exports with a song called Pride in the Name of Love. From her first album of 1988, it's Barbara Dixon.
One man come and go. One man come, he to justify. One man to overthrow. In the name of love. What more in the name of love? In the name of love. What more in the name of love? One man caught on a barbed wire fence. One man he resists. One man washed on an empty beach. One man betrayed with a kiss. rings out in the Memphis sky. Free at last, they took your life. They could not take your pride. In the name of love, one more in the name of love. In the name of love, one more in the name of love. In the name of love, one more in the name of love. In the name of love, one more in the name of
Great stuff, and a good number. Now, do you know, young Nick, what this is?
Thank you for the young. Could it be a flag?
It is indeed a flag. Very well done. Any idea whose flag? All right. It's the official flag of the European Economic Community.
Silly of me.
You didn't know that, did you?
No,
It's
I
celebrating its 30th birthday today.
Oh, is that why people are dancing in the streets throughout Britain?
Exactly it. Yes, we didn't join till 73, but it was formed in 58. As some of you will remember, it was Prime Minister Heath who signed the treaty taking us into the common market.
And people were queuing up to make sure he had enough ink to sign the treaty. He's being rushed away there for a meeting with some ballpoint pen salesman who had the dry cleaning concession.
As you can see, it's not all fun then being a Prime Minister. In fact, life can be a bit testing for anyone living at number 10.
Last orders, please. Well, I get rather into the habit of taking orders from her indoors, you see. I must say, things have come to a pretty pass when the Prime Minister's husband has to take a retirement job. I mean, when I say retirement, I mean, if you call my retirement having to grin like a baboon, trailing round in the perfumed wake doing my Duke of Edinburgh number. I don't know whether you've ever met him. Very, very nice little man. Greek, of course, hardly a trace of an accent. With some pretty ghastly children, really. Some pretty grisly in-laws, too, particularly little Princess Piggy or whatever she's called. But, I mean, who am I to talk? I mean, you've probably heard the rumours emanating from the US of a... Well, my daughter-in-law, you know, Miss Burgerstand, is apparently in a blessed state. Well, I don't mean Texas, you know. I mean, she's about to make the boss and me grandparents. Well, quite frankly, I was amazed. I mean, if he'd been driving a car, he'd certainly have never found his way around to it. However, on New Year's Day, time for goodwill, even towards the in-laws. Optimism, looking into the future with confidence, and a splitting hangover, on which I have a couple of tips. Now, first of all, theory. We in the Conservative Party, as you probably know, and I include any Pinkos, Trotskyites, and the Archbishop of Canterbury who may be having to peer into the flickering grey screen in your leaking hovel, as Margaret never ceases to tell you, you have no one to blame but yourselves. We Tories believe in the old-fashioned Victorian virtues. Charity begins at home and stops there, particularly on New Year's Eve. Surrounding housing estates may get a bit wrecked in the process, but not half as wrecked as yours truly. Poor neighbours may complain, but basically it's two fingers, raspberries, yah, yah, yah. Ha, ha. New Year's morning is rather another story. I don't know whether you find it. But the vital thing is the Tory remedy. Now, Dr. Owen's miracle hangover mixture. I don't know whether you know Dr. Owen, some little medico used to dabble in politics for a while. Burned his fingers rather badly. We were trying to start a sort of drawing room pinko party with that fat cat Jenkins and the woman with the messy hair. Anyway, before he joins our lot, he's been brooding a lot on the question of hangovers. And what he suggests is this. Just a dash of Worcestershire sauce, a dash of Angostoras, a dash of any good commercial bleach, a dash of industrial paint strippers, top it up with anything at all with marked poison on the bottle, shake thoroughly, like this, and pour into a good glass, and take your medicine. So, here's the toast. What a ghastly year it's been. Hurricanes, siege and sack, only horror we were spared, seeing Geoffrey Archer's back. Hold on to your crystal balls, you'll lose them else as sure as fate. Earthquakes and a plague of frogs. Here's to 1988! Ah! Now,
many more New Years he'll be spending at number 10.
Or indeed checkers.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you for making a date with us on this New Year's Day.
Thanks to all our guests who've helped us to celebrate it with you. Until we meet again, a very happy New Year.
New Year.